Akira. He's got clout.
Here we are. It's the beginning of another great day. A sunny summer day. It's the best day for you know what. I'm going to read you a quote from Norm Macdonald. And he says this: the idiot sees the world as good versus evil. The cynic sees the world as evil versus evil. The truth that no one seems to be able to see is that the world is, and always has been, a battle of good versus good. Versus good. Versus good. Versus good. Wow. This is actually really profound. This is the situation we find ourselves in. There are not two sides in which one is good and one is evil. There are two sides in which one feels that it is good and it believes, incorrectly, that the other one is evil. But both sides are pretty sure that their version of the world is the good one. Wow. The world is, and always has been, a battle of good versus good. Versus good. Versus good. Versus good. Versus good. Wow. 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 Wow.
I feel like shit.
Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. It's just one of those happy days. The weekend comes, let's not go home. It's just one of those days where you don't want to wake up. Everything is everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you want to justify ripping someone's head off. No human contact, and if you interact, your life is on contract. Your best bet,
Just knock it off, you scum bucket.
it's just one of those days. It's just one of those happy days. It's just one of those happy days. It's just one of those happy days. The weekend comes, let's not go home. Ready to make stays. It's just one of those days, feeling like a freight train. First one to complain, leaves with the bloodstain. Damn right, I'm a maniac. You better shoot, cause I'm fucking up your program. And if you're stuck up, you just locked up. Next in line to get fucked up. Your best bet is to stay away, motherfucker. It's just
I'm losing my cool.
it's all about happy days. It's just one of those happy days. It's just one of those happy days. The weekend comes, let's not go home. Ready to make stays. These days,
I feel like shit. My suggestion is to keep your distance.
right now I'm
so you'll stop playing games.
Give me something great. Give me something great. I hope you know I'm like a chainsaw. A chainsaw. A motherfucking chainsaw. What? So come and get it.
Sign everyone up. Welcome back to another edition of XFL Newsroom Live. I'm your host, as always, the referee representing the number one source in XFL news. That's XFL Newsroom. Let's get signed up. You know why we're here. Hopefully, I'm not blowing y'all out with the volume here. It looks like I might be. We're going to turn me down just a little bit. Trying out a little bit of a new setup here. But as you know, we just do things on the fly sometimes here at XFL Newsroom. Sometimes we're great, sometimes we're horrible. But you know what? At least it seems like you can hear us. But as you folks know, we got some big news. We have some huge news. This might be the biggest news ever. The XFL seemingly has a buyer, or we'll say buyers. We're going to look at all the details, all the initial details. The details that have surfaced since the sale was announced. And then we're going to look at the pesky creditors filing an objection. And we're going to go into all those details. We're going to look at the reactions from folks that were in the league, from other people around the sports world. We're going to do a deep dive. We're going to look at who the owners are. Everybody knows The Rock, right? You smelled what he's cooked before. You know what he's doing. You know what he's up to. We've been there. We've done that. We'll touch on that. But we're also going to look at Dany Garcia, his ex-wife and business partner, as well as RedBird Capital. So we got a big one for you. As you can tell, I still got the quarantine hair. One of these days, I'm going to brave out into the real world and let someone cut my hair. I need to do it soon. It's getting a little crazy, if you could tell you. That's a lot of hair. So let's just leave this in the hat here. You don't need to see my hat hair. Sign us up. Again, I'm hoping everyone's doing good. How is everyone doing in the chat tonight? It's Monday. It's a little bit different time. I was going to stream this Saturday. I was signed up as usual. Sign me up Saturday. But I knew that the news was going to be big. We had to just wait a little bit longer. Why even jump into it without all the details? So we got the XFL Battlecast, which again, he stuck through me. He stuck through this with me, right? One of the XFL Newsroom crew. So he'll probably be putting out a podcast, the XFL or the St. Louis Battlecast. Look forward to that. Tron Hawkins of This Is the XFL podcast. You know, he'll be making a return as well. Probably going to do some this week's in the XFL. Maybe just do this month in the XFL to begin with. Maybe week. I don't know. We'll see. It depends on how much news comes out of these stories that we're going to look into here. So look forward to them. Let's see. Mount Lion. Let's go Sacramento. We need a team. It could happen. You know, that LA team, they didn't have the greatest numbers, but looking at The Rock, he's Mr. Hollywood. He might want to keep him there. Let's see. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Andrew, XFL is alive. Well, it seems like it may be. We're hoping that it stays that way. So you know what? Let's jump right into the fun stuff. Let's get to the news, the big news of the day. The Rock, RedBird Capital, reportedly purchased the XFL for 15 million big ones. 15 million big ones. And actually, we'll get into that. That number is a little bit lower than I expected. But let's just jump into it here. The day has come, the XFL bankruptcy. Actually, you know what? Let's even skip. This is just the preliminary. It's basically everything we touched. The Rock, his ex-wife, Dany Garcia. Jeez, I am all over the place today. Sorry, folks. Again, I'm not used to doing videos in the middle of the afternoon. Oh, good. We are live. We are live. Good. Just had to make sure. You know, I've had all the funniest technical difficulties. But either way, we're going to skip over that first article. It just goes over, hey, look, there's a sale. Here's who these folks are. This is how much. But let's look at the details that have come out since the sale was made public earlier this morning. So, unless you've been living under a rock, you're well aware that the XFL has been purchased by Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Dany Garcia, and RedBird Capital. Based on the court filings, which were released shortly after the sale was announced via social media, we have some more information in regards to the sale price and how many companies put in bids. A lot of people wrote about The Rock buying the XFL. Technically, the joint venture between Johnson, Garcia, and RedBird is a new company named Alpha Aquico. And I'm going to screw that up. If anybody knows the proper pronunciation, drop it in the chat. You know how I roll. If there's a way to pronounce it wrong, your man's going to get it done. Yo, bro, MMO, since 2020 has been such a gloomy year, I want to wait a few more days until the court decision makes everything official. Yes, and we're going to talk about some of the things, some of the roadblocks that might be in the way. And actually, before we get kicked off here, if you're new to the channel, make sure you drop a subscription there. Hit that subscribe button. We're the #1 source in XFL news. We've been doing this probably longer than anyone. We're followed by more people than any of the other XFL news publications, and there's a reason we're the #1 source. So get signed up. And you know what? If you hit subscribe, your name's probably going to show up on this screen. You should also like, you should comment. You know what? Click the link in the description for the Discord. We're going into some shill mode early because this is a big night. I'm excited. So let's get past that. So Alpha, it's a new version of Alpha, not Alpha Entertainment. We're going to screw that word up, so we're not even going to try. So a joint venture between the Garcia companies and RedBird Capital Partners Management, LLC. The qualified bid of Alpha is for the purchase of substantially all of the debtor's assets for a purchase price of $15 million, big ones. The assumption of certain specified liabilities and the payment of cure amounts of up to $8.5 million for agreements designated by Alpha to be assumed and assigned by the debtor in accordance with the designation procedures provided in the asset purchase agreement and order approving the sale, right? So they have to approve the sale, and the $8.5 million, I think I go into this here, is basically their debts, right? So beyond the $15 million, they could be liable for another $8.5 million, which puts them at about 23, something like that, 23.5. That number could change. We'll talk about that. Going into the sale, there was a lot of speculation on how many people were interested in the league and if that would translate into bidders. So we talked about this, leading up to this date. There's at least 30 people that had signed the NDA. About 20 of them seemed very interested and had definitely more than enough money to get involved. But it seems after looking through the filings, this new joint venture was the lone bid. So that might account for why the price is so low here. So let's see what the chat's saying. Herky Big 78. Hey, Freeman. Oh, Freeman, how you doing? Kurt was on 101 ESPN about the sale. He says he has not been contacted yet. Probably won't until the sale is final, along with anyone who worked for the XFL a few months ago. So what we're talking about here, Kurt Hunzeker, former team president of the St. Louis Battlehawks, was recently on ESPN 101 radio in the St. Louis market. I haven't had a chance to listen to the interview yet, but thanks to one of the people that's normally in our Discord as well, is saying that he hasn't been contacted yet. But, if they are, it's probably not going to be until after the sale is completed, which makes total sense, right? So here we go. Take further notice that no other qualified bids were received by the bid deadline. and the debtor hereby provides notice of cancellation of the auction. So the auction really didn't even take place. They were just the only qualified bid. Bing, bang, boom. You have some new owners here. The debtor will seek entry of an order approving the sale to Alpha at the sale hearing scheduled for August 7th, 10 a.m. Eastern. So this Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, that's when they're going to try to iron all of this out. So sale is all but official, but pending any major objections, all should be set by this Friday. They're expected to close on the purchase by August 21st. And again, they got to hit the ground running, right? So we've talked about it before. It seemed like the XFL had a plan in place for the new owners to just grab the ball and hit the ground running to have a return in 2021, still a week after the Super Bowl. And that looks like that might be the case. So Kevin Seifert of ESPN, he caught up with Dany Garcia, one of the new owners of the XFL, at least if this all gets approved and everything. And it looks like they're still targeting 2021 return, right? We don't know if it's going to be in, different locations, if it's going to be in a bubble concept, but it seems to me like the bubble concept is where they're going to be going here. And I believe I talk about this here. They've had still some negotiations with the University of Houston to continue the lease of TDECU Stadium, home of the Houston Roughnecks. Add on the fact that the XFL historically has had a good working relationship, not with only the mayor of the city, Sylvester Turner, but the Harris County Houston Sports Authority, even so much so that they held their whole training camp here. So all 8 teams, including all the players, coaches, broadcast partners, all of it, they were out here earlier this year. It seems crazy that it was even this year, back in February, to hold the training camp. Like I said, all the teams, all the players, all the executives, broadcast partners, everything. So it seems like Houston might be the prime candidate if that is the plan to return in 2021. Anything could happen. So let's see here. So Rangers King, he says, an attorney replied to the End Zone's comment under Kaplan's tweet about the objection, saying the objection likely won't affect much. I agree, and we're going to jump into an article I wrote. The key word here is that these are unsecured creditors that are having the objection. So we'll go into it. We'll get into that. So I wouldn't be too worried about the objection. Sale will probably be finalized. But let's go in here. So we talked about Houston possibly being that city. XFL on Fox, they recently came back as well. So after this news, let's take a look. So hello again. Here's to inform you that The Rock is part of a group that is to buy the XFL. So why is this important, right? Well, one, they haven't tweeted since April, since the league kind of right before they announced the bankruptcy. This Twitter account has been dormant. People have wondered if the league returns. There's nothing really tying Fox or ESPN to the old deal because it was contingent on Alpha and Vince McMahon. But seeing that the XFL on Fox Twitter account is tweeting, it seems to me to insinuate that there might still be some interest there. And according to an article we wrote a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago, I can't even remember. 2020 is crazy with everything that's going on. It seems like Fox is still interested in this. I like to see it. I love the Fox broadcast. I love the Fox broadcasters, the presentation. It's just clean. It's just professional. Sign me up. So we're talking about that. So let's look at some of the comments here. This is also a historic moment, right? So actually, let's jump into some RedBird Capital. Who the heck are they, right? A lot of people probably never heard of them before today. Some have, probably some haven't. But they're no stranger to sports acquisitions. Currently, they have a stake in the Yes Network. They've worked with the NFL in the past, doing some interactive programs. And they recently purchased a football club, soccer club in France. So they have, and they invest in a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to look at them here just shortly. But there's a historic moment that came out of this as well. So Dany Garcia, if this sale goes through, she becomes the first woman to own an entire sports league. We've seen women own franchises, parts of franchises, but not in the whole league realm. This is a big deal. This is big stuff, right? The XFL will continue to differentiate itself, hopefully by its leadership. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. This could go bust. This could go bust. We don't know. But I'm loving the fact that they had the promo shots ready. She's there on her desk looking strong, looking proud. She's got that XFL football. She's ready to go. She wrote, for the love of football, for the love of athletes, for the love of fans. She tagged the XFL 2020 account. Hashtag owner, tag The Rock. Hashtag Jerry Cardinale, the owner, founder of RedBird Capital, one of the new partners in this new alpha organization. So, like I said, it's getting real. We weren't sure if we were going to know about who the owner was today, before Friday, when. But, so this is a Ranger King. 669 brings this up in the chat. Key member of the executives on RedBird was the president of the Browns for a few years until he resigned in 2016. Alex Shiner. Wow, good stuff. So, again, we're going to jump into a couple things. Let's just, before we jump into the sad, salty news, let's get that one out of the way. One, I just have to show this off because I always love a good retweet. There's some things I love, some things that are near and dear to my heart. One of those things is this Twitter account. And I got that Dany Garcia retweet earlier. I was just saying, hey, just a reminder, that bankruptcy auction is today. We may not know who wins until the 7th, but we're getting close, folks. Well, what she says, well, now we know. Congratulations to my partners, The Rock and Jerry. Let's make magic. I'm excited. Thank you, Dany, for the retweet. Jeez, I can't even speak. I'm so excited. I'm so hyped. I am getting signed up more and more. We went over this tweet. As well. Let's look at some other reactions. Josh Johnson, former quarterback of the Los Angeles Wildcats. What did he have to say? He said, hey, glad to see the XFL is back. He tagged The Rock, Dany Garcia. Congratulations. I loved I loved LA, but I'm from the town. So that's that Bay Area, that San Francisco treat, if you will. There's a big stadium that don't have a team and a very loyal fan base to the game of football if y'all are looking for a new city. So he's talking about Oakland because those Raiders, the Raiders franchise, well, you know what? They up and bounced out of Oakland. They bounced out of pretty much everywhere they could in California, and they're set to make their debut in Las Vegas this fall. That is, as long as the NFL season happens. It seems to be going along, but there may not be any fans there for that beautiful new stadium in Vegas. But it could open up the doors. It could give the XFL an opportunity. It was reported that when they were originally trying to relaunch in 2020, that Oakland was one of the cities that they had reached out to. At the time, they had turned it down. The logic behind that thought was most likely for the reason that they were currently in litigation with the Oakland Raiders, so they didn't want to disrupt that. Now that all seems to be gone, done with, out of everyone's mind, you know, it could be a good opportunity for the league to relocate that Wildcats team just a little bit up north where they might get a little bit more love like that San Francisco team did in the original XFL. Only time will tell. So, let's see. Interestingly enough, we have another reaction from the Wildcats camp. Former team president Heather Brooks Carrots congratulated Dany Garcia and said, the XFL is fortunate to also have you at the helm. So that's good news. To me, that seems like if she was asked to return, if the pay was the same, she might make that jump. We already know that June Jones, former head coach of the Houston Roughnecks, undefeated Roughnecks, mind you, He already said he'd make a return. He already said he'd come back. So, are we starting to see the beginning of some of these folks that might rejoin the league? If they're truly looking for a 2021 return, that's a little time and a lot of work, right? We have executives, front office staff, players, coaches, for God's sakes, the broadcast partners, stadiums or stadium. Like we said, if they go for that bubble concept, maybe it is just the stadium. Maybe it's already figured out. Maybe it is TD-ECU Stadium. We'll have to see, all right? There is a lot of time between now and then, but there's also not a lot of time at all. When you look at when the XFL was launching towards 2020, they took about 2 years to kind of build everything up, right? Granted, there's some things that they don't have to do now. They don't need the team identities. They don't need jerseys. They don't need pads. There's all sorts of equipment, things that have been figured out. But, just looking at their social media, the last rendition of the XFL, their social media game was on point. It was fire. So it's going to be hard to replace that, right? You're really going to have to find someone that knows what they're doing in that social realm, that has that passion, the self-deprecating humor, all of those things, right? Front office folks that were, for instance, I went to every one of the fan engagement events in Houston. So I got to know, Brian Michael Cooper, team president of the Roughnecks, and the marketing folks and the ticket sales people and all of those folks that work there. It's hard to say if they're all going to come back. You can guarantee that not all of the people are going to come back. We already mentioned, Pep Hamilton. He's got a job over in LA in the NFL, right? So clearly he's not going to be back unless something crazy happens between then and now. So that leaves the Defenders without a head coach. And again, we don't know the executives or the assistants. The players, I think, are going to be fairly easy to get. People are going to want to play football, especially if the CFL doesn't play, which it seems like they might not. We could see a good amount of folks making the jump. There's still a lot of guys, amazingly, that haven't been signed from the XFL, like Cam Phillips. As you know, there have been some that have been signed, right? So, PJ Walker, clearly, Jordan Teamu, those types. So there's some that are gone, but there's still plenty that are still available. So let's get back to that in a minute here. So let's look. Dany Garcia. So who is she? We kind of touched on it briefly. So she is The Rock's ex-wife, but they're also still business partners. They've had a working relationship for quite a while. Once the sale's truly finalized, we're working on a piece for the website, xflnewsroom.com, which you should be checking out daily for all the latest XFL news. But we're doing bios of all the new owners, at least once that gets finalized here. So look for that. But for now, let's just look at who Dany Garcia is. Like I said, there's probably a lot of folks either watching this or that check us, follow us on Twitter or just heard the news independently that don't know who she is. She's a lot more than just The Rock's ex-wife and business partner. So she is the chairman of Garcia Companies, which is her companies. She's a visionary architect behind some of today's most successful enterprises, brands, and talents. Her innovative global approach to every professional and personal endeavor has contributed to her continued success. Her precise instincts within the ever-changing media landscape, paired with years of experience in the financial industry, have led to innovative and trusted business partnerships in a variety of verticals, so different industries, things of that nature. Dany's passion for bettering the world through socially responsible decisions is consistently reflected in the culture of her teams and the businesses she builds. So let's just look at some of the companies that she's worked at, her portfolio, her global brands. So we have Athleticon, which is, already you're kind of seeing, hey, look, she has kind of that sports background here. She has some digital studios, some media companies, things of that nature. works. So this is one of the Rock's companies as well as this $7 corporation, right? So you can see they have a breakdown. It's done some work with Under Armour, but this is one, as you know here. Actually, I should take a drink here. She's got the tequila. I'm hoping we see some tequila sponsorships in the XFL as long as this sale goes through, because you know Daddy, he likes to have a drink. Right now, we're going to take a sign me up break. Daddy's getting a little parched. Oh, yeah. Sign me up. So that's kind of just a brief rundown. We're going to have, like I said, a much more built out bio for all these folks. Let's look at RedBird, right? So RedBird is another one. RedBird Capital Partners. Probably not a lot of people had heard of them prior to. But let's just look at the sports companies that they've acquired and worked with. So we have one team, like we said, they've worked with the NFL in the past. On Location Experiences, headquartered in New York City, is a premium experimental entertainment company whose mission is to partner with iconic rights holders to create, manage, and execute once-in-a-lifetime behind-the-scenes experiences at marquee global sports, music, entertainment, and lifestyle events. On Location Experiences owns and operates NFL On Location, the NFL's official premium hospitality provider for the NFL's marquee events, including the Super Bowl, runway tours, the official VIP hospitality provider for John Bon Jovi. All right, sign me up. In addition to other top artists, and Anthony Travel, the leading provider of travel and hospitality services for collegiate athletic events. You know what? I would love to see some of those things brought into the XFL. One of the things that I love most is here in Houston at TDECU Stadium for those Houston Roughnecks home games. It's unfortunate we only got 3, but at least we got 3. One of my favorite things is you could order your food, your drinks, even your merchandise right from your seat. You just use your phone, you use the app, and they brought it to you. I loved it. So, as I mentioned earlier in this stream, I will not pronounce anything properly if given the opportunity to screw it up. So this is one of them right here. The Toulouse Football Club. I guarantee I got the first word wrong, but hey, it's a football club based out of France. You get the deal. They were founded in 1937. RedBird FC. Now I can pronounce that. RedBird Football Club is a European football and analytics platform through which RedBird deploys operating expertise and a data analytics strategy in partnership with some of the top analytics-focused executives in sport. So either way, you get the idea. Now, the big one here, Yes Network. So a lot of you probably know the Yes Network. The Yes Network is the #1 regional sports network in the United States and holds the exclusive local media rights of the 27-time world champion New York Yankees, Brooklyn Nets, and the Major League Soccer's New York City Football Club, and the WNBA's New York Liberty. Gary Cardinale partnered with the Steinbrenner family in 2002 to launch Yes, which has won. I told you I'd screw up words here. 118 Emmy Awards over its lifetime. Now that's big money. In 2019, RedBird recapitalized the business in partnership with the New York Yankees, Sinclair Broadcast Group, Amazon, Blackstone, and another capital company that I won't try to say because I will ruin the wording. I will ruin the pronunciation. I feel bad for some of these folks. But either way, this is some of these guys. And The Rock, you guys know The Rock. He was a big-time star. You know, interestingly enough, it's funny looking at The Rock. So if you don't know, he played in college in Miami. He tried to make it in the NFL, didn't make the cut, moved over to the CFL, didn't make the cut there, then moved into professional wrestling. And it's interesting to see, you know, he kind of had his comeuppance if he buys a football league here. But one of the things I do want to go over, it still kind of blows my mind a little bit, is when you look back at the original XFL, The Rock he was at the first game. He was at the first game. So we're going to take a look at that here. Definitely going to get demonetized. Definitely going to get demonetized.
6 years ago,
let's take a look.
Suits decided Los Angeles wasn't good enough
Good old days.
for a football team. Los Angeles doesn't
there we go.
need
Make it a little bit
football
bigger.
team. Well, The Rock in Los Angeles and the entire country, for that matter.
From the bottom, now we're here. All right, guys.
And the entire country, for that matter, are sick and tired of NFL Suits telling us what we want.
Now this guy's the owner. He's going down.
So we have a little message to the NFL Suits. We want you to find your bags. The very bags you packed when you took football out of L.A.
That's right. That's right. He might take football out of L.A. too now. We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
And then we want you to fill your bags back up with
fill
the
them up.
things that are obviously most important to you. We want the NFL Suits to fill their bags up with their little cell phones, with their little dinner reservations, and then we want you to add one more thing, a brand new red and black XFL football.
Maybe we'll get that. We saw the prototype from Big Game USA. I would like to see a return of that red and black.
Make sure they're nice and tight and secure. And then we say to you, the NFL Suits, and to everyone around who wants to tell us, the people, what we should have and what we shouldn't have. We respectfully tell you to take your bags, turn them sideways, and stick them straight up your candy asses. If you smell what the XFL is cooking.
Now that's what I'm talking about, folks, right? So this is probably a good segue. You know, it's still, this kind of blows my mind a little bit. So the XFL, it was just announced today that The Rock, Dany Garcia, RedBird, they partnered together by the league. We just heard The Rock end off that historic clip here. Can you smell what the XFL is cooking? Well, we already got some merchandise, folks. We already got some new shirts coming out of the deal. So Breaking T, who had a licensing agreement with the XFL the last time around, they already came out. They got the If You Smell What the XFL is Cooking t-shirt. You know I had to get it. You know I had to buy it. So once it comes through, we'll do a review. Maybe we'll come back with the this week in the XFL, this month in the XFL, something like that. Let's see what the chat has to say. Rangers King, former Guardians president Janet Duke actually worked at On Location Experiences. Also another former Browns exec. Wow. So good. So we have some experience from the XFL and some other football companies as well. This, I honestly, I wasn't sure what to think when this news first came out this morning. I just didn't know. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Are they going to have the right amount of capital? All of that jive. You just don't know. And you know what? I don't know if my mic is peaking out really bad or not. So just let me know in the chat. If it is, I'm sorry that we've gone on this long where it's been probably not so great. No complaints yet. I get someone in there that's going to say, what are you doing to my ears here, my man? So either way, so if you want some new merch, head over to breakingt.com. It's not in the description now, but I think I could probably add it on the fly. I'll add it in the new XFL shirt. Whoa, bing bong. Okay, now it's in the chat. Not in the chat. It's in the description. So if you refresh the video, you'll see a link to this shirt. And while you're doing that, if you haven't already, make sure you like And if you haven't done this one, come on, guys. Come on, folks. We're bringing you the entertainment. We're one of the few that didn't leave when the XFL seemed like they were on the down and outs. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Click the bell to see when we're live, when a new video goes live. Sometimes we're pre-recorded. Sometimes we're live like this one. We're having a good time tonight, though. Let's take a look. So we looked at RedBird, some of the companies that they work with. Let's look at Jerry Cardinale. So he's the founder and managing partner of RedBird, but he's the one that went into it with The Rock and Dany Garcia. So prior to founding RedBird, Jerry spent 20 years at Goldman Sachs, where he was a partner of the firm and a senior leader of the Merchant Bank's private equity and investing business, which managed over $100 billion of private capital investments across equity, debt, real estate, and infrastructure investment strategies. That in itself is a huge deal. I'm signed up on that. I'm excited, right? During his tenure, Jerry worked with entrepreneurs and family business owners to build several successful multi-billion-dollar platform companies, including the Yankees Entertainment and Sports Yes Network, which, as we discussed, the #1 regional sports network in the United States. Legends Hospitality, a premium ticket concessions and merchandising services company, which was created in partnership with the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Yankees, and Suddenlink Communications, which I didn't know, which was the 7th largest American cable company at the time it was acquired. So, good stuff. So he has his feather in a lot of hats here. But that's what I like to see. He currently sits on several boards across the RedBird investment portfolio, including Atheon, one of the largest independent privately held upstream and midstream natural gas producers in the Hunts. And a bunch of other stuff. But let's try to focus on the sports ones here. One Team Partners, a partnership with the Players Association of the NFL and the MLB to monetize the names, image, and likeliness of the collective players, which is really good if the league wants to go into making a video game or getting those licensing deals. Again, we have that expertise on this team. We have a lot of things going for us here. So either way, we got some big news coming up. We're going to look here at, so it seems like a little bit of news has come out about this, but we're going to talk about this as well. So the XFL's Committee of Unsecured Creditors have filed an objection to the XFL sale to this new group. Well, let's look at the details. Let's talk about it a little bit. And at the end of it, we're going to say, does it matter or does it not matter? So earlier we reported, the gang, they had secured the rights to the XFL for, $15 million prior to the league's bankruptcy auction. Mainly in part, they were the lone bid. Shortly after the sale was announced on social media, XFL President Pollock, which we reached out to him, he had this to say. And I love it. You couldn't say it any other way. This is a Hollywood ending to our sale process and an awesome new start for the XFL. Dany, Dwayne, and Jerry are a dream team ownership group, and the XFL is in the best possible hands for the exciting journey ahead. So, as we mentioned a few times in this stream, the sale is technically not final. As such, we have some more news to report. By looking at the latest court filings, these came out maybe a little bit less than an hour before we went live here. The court filings, the XFL's Committee of Unsecured Creditors have filed an objection to the deal. It seems that the creditors are worried that $15 million is too low and is not in the best interest of the debtor's estate. So this is from the filing. While the committee has been and remains supportive of a competitive sale process run by the debtor that attracted a qualifying bid from the proposed buyer, the debtor's role as a fiduciary to the estate and its constituents does not end with securing that offer. Rather, the debtor has an ongoing obligation to negotiate terms with the proposed buyer that are most favorable to the estate and do not unduly prejudice its creditors. The proposed APA, however, does not reflect such terms and seeks to strip the estate of valuable assets for no consideration. As such, the committee has significant concerns that the sale contemplated with the proposed buyer does not satisfy the sound business purpose test and is not in the best interest of the debtor's estate. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, really nothing yet. It doesn't mean much. They're asking that the debtor perform their own analysis to determine the true value of the organization and if each asset is maximized. So again, according to the filing, it is crucial that the debtor perform an analysis to determine whether the value of each of the assets included in the sale is truly maximized, unless and until a thorough review and analysis of the value of the purchased claims is completed, or the proposed buyer removes the purchased asset purchase claims from the sale or provides additional consideration to support their purchase, unsecured creditors will be unduly prejudiced by the contemplated sale. So we'll need to see where this goes. But as we mentioned before, this doesn't sound like it's really going to be a big deal. It sounds like they're probably going to sort this out. We have another hearing this Friday on the 7th to kind of go over the objections. Should be finalized by, I believe, the 21st. So definitely by mid to late August, we should know the deal. We should know everything's sold, it's done, the owners. And it seems like we're starting to get not a good idea, but a small idea of what the plan is for the XFL return. Amazingly, it seems like 2021 is still in the books, at least again, according to Dany Garcia. She seems to be one of the more active figures in the sale. We've seen both Dwayne Johnson and Garcia commenting on this throughout the day on Twitter, at least, and I'm sure across other social media platforms. But it seems like she's probably the one steering the ship. Honestly, I'll take it. I'll take it. Let's jump back over to the big cam. I don't know, man. I really do need to get this quarantine hair fixed. That's really about what we know right now. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Like I said, it was a little bit last minute. We didn't know if we were going to know the owners today, if it was going to leak out, or if we would kind of get everything finalized on the 7th. But like I said, we gave you all the info we know. I wouldn't be worried about the objection. Sounds like the chat's not so much worried about the objection. We're going to have a good time. We'll probably be back this Saturday, maybe this Friday. It depends on how much news comes out. We might have to do a This Week in the XFL, make the return to, XFL's fans' favorite weekly XFL news program. But we're having a good time. So, chat, let's take a look here. How's everyone doing today? Let's see. Did I miss any comments? So, from the Battlecast, also per Kaplan's article, it looks like the sale hearing will still go on for now with the original August 7th date. So, again, that's good news for the league. Let's see what we Rangers King here. Also, the soccer team is pronounced like Toulouse. It's a city in the south of France, metro area population about 1.4 million. Okay. Hey, Delmar, how you guys doing? Herky Jerk, yep. I know. We got to get that Rock speech everywhere now. It blows my mind that The Rock, you don't really think about him being involved in the old XFL or the new one. But here he is now, potentially, most probably, one of the new owners of the league. And that's exciting, right? He's got a name outside of wrestling. Right? He's a huge action star. He's done TV shows, Ballers on HBO. Add something new to his resume. Sign him up. I'm a little bit excited. At first, I wasn't sure what to think, but now I'm a little bit excited. So Rangers King, they should try to bring back Oliver Luck. Well, let's talk about that. Will Oliver Luck be back? I want Oliver Luck to be back. I think Oliver Luck should be back. I don't think he will be back. A couple things. One, I don't know if he would want to take the chance again. And two, when you look at the league, they just bought the league for less money than what Oliver Luck was getting paid. I don't see it. We'll see. There is still currently litigation there. I would love to have him back. I don't think it's going to happen. And I don't think Oliver Luck's the only one. I think there's going to be probably a good amount of people that aren't going to make the jump over. And you know, that it is what it is. Some will, some won't, right? As we talked about earlier, at least a couple months ago, June Jones has commented on the situation, said, hey, if they called me, I'd come back. I'd love to have June Jones here back in Houston. Heather Brooks Carrots, you know, she was congratulating Dany Garcia earlier on Twitter. So it seems like she doesn't have so much bad blood. I haven't listened to the interview yet, but Kurt Hunzeker, former team president of the St. Louis Battlehawks, he was on ESPN 101 earlier talking about the new sale. He at least said he hadn't been contacted yet. So, you know, I think we do. There's definitely going to be some people that came back. Shoot, there were some coaches that were from the original 2001 iteration of the XFL that came back to the 2020 version. So clearly that's the case. Moses, third time is the charm. I agree. Third time's the charm. 2021 or 2022. Let's actually ask the chat. Do you think they should try to come back in 2021? Or do you think they should postpone it to 2022? If they try 2021, sorry, American Noise, I'm not sure if you're in here. I'm stealing your poll. Here, I'll even let's give him a little shout out here. Let's jump over to this little webcam thing and let's steal his poll, but also give him a little bit of shout out here. So, XFL start poll. Do you think you should have a 2021 regular start, 2021 bubble start, or a 2022 start? I put 2022 in there. I would like to see them take their time. Again, this is before the news that it looks like they're targeting 2021. I'm excited, especially if they do come to Houston. As you may or may not know, XFL Newsroom, the HQ is based out of Houston, which means that's where I live. So I'm especially signed up and excited about that, or the potential of that maybe being a bubble city. But let us know. Chat, what do you think? 2021, 2022? All right, Moses, 2021. Buddy, I think it's too early to tell whether or not it's safe. That's a good point. All right, there's still a lot that's kind of going on here. Let's see. Yo, bro, MMO, I'd like to see it pushed back to the end of spring or start right before summer 2021. Amador, I'm sorry. Again, I'm horrible with names and pronunciation in general. Yes, 2021 now. You know, honestly, I'm just excited that we have new owners. We have potentially new owners, but it seems like everything's on the up and up. Like I said, I wouldn't be too worried about the objections here. It's great to just see sports back in general. We have MLB's back, NBA's back, NHL's back, Major League Soccer is back. We got the Drone Racing League, which is kind of my guilty pleasure. If you haven't checked it out, check out DRL. I'm ready for those live races to come back. Right now, they're using their simulator. But the XFL is back. I'm glad, you know, none of us gave up. We still have a lot of our XFL newsroom crew still on board. Going to be seeing some more content coming out, like I mentioned. Tron Hawkins of This Is the XFL podcast. He's going to be making a return. I know he's working on a new podcast, basically a long-awaited recap of Week 5. But then he's going to talk about the new ownership group and go into details there. So you know we're excited to see that. So make sure you follow him over on Twitter at XFL Podcast. Make sure you check out xflnewsroom.com daily because you'll see it pop up there. His social media, our social media, as well as the St. Louis Battlecast. You can find him on Twitter at XFL Battlecast. But I think that's it. I think that is I don't know how much news, what other stuff we could go over. There's not much else left to talk about. But hey, thanks again, everyone. It's super special. I'm glad you guys came. I'm glad we had a pretty successful stream here tonight. I'm probably going to be streaming live a little bit more often as everything kicks up. Probably start doing some more pre-recorded videos. Bring the green screen back. But until then, you know, we're going to get this microphone situation solved soon. I really just need to get a proper mixer here. I have like 3 of them in the garage. But I don't know, for whatever reason, I just want a new mixer is really what it comes down. Maybe I just need an excuse to get a new mixer and a new microphone. Because I like the lapel mic. The lapel mic's good. I'm probably making a bunch of noise by doing that. I have the Blue Yeti, and this is okay. This one's okay. It just makes I don't know. It's just not as good as it could be. So I've been looking at some new microphones. If anybody has a suggestion on some good studio mics, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments if you're watching this on demand. Shoot, head over to xflnewsroom.com, click the contact, let me know. And you know what? Since the league is coming back here, you might as well head over. If you're interested in producing any content for XFL Newsroom, you know we're always looking for new writers. We're always looking for new contributors. And we're always looking for new personalities, if you will. Well, good. I'm glad it sounds okay. I might have actually got the volume right by accident today. I've been tweaking it each time we go live. So maybe I got it down. I'll have to check it out later. But either way, if you're interested in contributing to the site, head over to xflnewsroom.com. Hit join the team or join us. What do we got on here? Oh, I don't even have it on the thing. I'll add it to the menu again. Maybe I'll update the description of this video. I don't know. Time will tell. But again, that was a long way of saying thanks for joining us. But before I let you go, if you didn't know, we're also on Facebook and Twitter. So give us a follow at XFL Newsroom for all the latest news. And since we're on YouTube, make sure you drop a like, comment, subscribe, click the bell to see when we're dropping new videos. Some are going to be pre-recorded. Some are going to be live, just like this one. So until next time, sign you up.